So thank you so much for joining today's Study Melbourne Career Catalyst webinar. This is part of many webinars that we run. You may have come across this one just randomly on Humanitics or through the Study Melbourne page or social media, but we do run lots of other webinars as well. So this is a join in and stand out webinar. So talking about like how to join in and stand out in the Australian workplace, but we also host lots of webinars around resume writing, interview preparation, personal branding, lots of different topics. And then we also do in-person events as well. So for anyone on this call today, I'll also share the recording of a webinar today and any other links for Study Melbourne. Everything's free, and we invite anyone that's an international student or graduate to come along and get involved. We literally exist for you. So anything that you need support with, please reach out. We've got a great guest today, which I'll introduce Preeti. Preeti is the Talent Solutions Support Consultant at LinkedIn. And we won't obviously focus on LinkedIn today. We're not doing a LinkedIn workshop, but it is always interesting to hear a bit more about a very well-known organization. But we will focus on a few questions that I've already sent across to Preeti. So we'll get started shortly, but I just wanted to say, yeah, thank you so much, Preeti, for being involved today. And we're really looking forward to chatting to you further. Are you able to give us a little introduction into yourself and your career so far?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. So where do I begin? Great. So I work at LinkedIn, as you mentioned. It's been about 4.5 years. So I started as a contractor. Then they decided that they do not want to continue with the role, but they liked me very nice, which is great for me. And they're like, hey, would you love to interview internally for a different role? Because we're about to come up with something. Because when I signed up, it wasn't a full-time job. It was like a 12-month contract. They were trying out a role in Melbourne to see how it goes for Australian time, because they had a lot of people fixing issues in US and India and Singapore. But Australia, because of the weird time zone we come into, Singapore is not awake yet and US is going to sleep. They wanted somebody to bridge the gap. So something came up and here I am, got the job, and it worked wonderfully. So
Amazing.
that's how you transition within the organization. So whenever you um, are going ahead and applying for a job, it doesn't have to be always a full-time position. Sometimes it could be just a gateway to get into a good organization. It could be a stepping stone. It could be just,
Mm.
putting your best foot forward. You never know where it leads you. So
Mm.
that's a classic example of how I've been with LinkedIn now.
Yep.
And I got hired in the peak of pandemic. I finished my course at Victoria University and realized the world is shutting down and nobody's hiring.
Mm.
So job search during that time was definitely a huge problem because people were not ready. They were either like putting people on hold, people on the bench, or even sadly sacking people
Mm.
because they didn't know how long it would go. Like 2 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 year. And Melbourne did have the longest lockdown in the world. So it was another ball game.
Yeah.
So how I've been with LinkedIn. Going back, I was born and raised in India and I started working in small corporations. I was always fond of people. So customer service is something I like doing. And I've been in-person customer service as well as online chats, calls. I've done heaps of different versions. So I've also worked in Los Angeles for a store called Macy's, which is like Myers in Australia. So I've worked with them as well and then moved to Sydney, uh, worked in Domain Sydney, which is real estate.
Mm.
And this was very particularly interesting because everybody told me, "Oh, you're coming from a different country. You don't have Australian experience. You will not get a job." So when I was moving from US to Australia, so many people told me you don't have something called Australian experience. In my head, I understood two things. Either you have experience or you don't have experience. What
Mm,
do you mean Australian experience? Like, yeah, there are nuances of every country which we all learn. Like when I
mm,
moved from India to US, US to Australia, there are lots of nuances
mm,
need to learn, but the core remains the same. So for me, I was like, I was making sure I save up enough money before moving to Australia so
mm,
that hypothetically, if I don't get, a job in 6 months,
mm,
I'm still comfortable. I don't have to be, flamboyant, but I'm still comfortable. And uh, but it was really hilarious. My husband is who's a programmer. He joined Domain Sydney, and you know how you get those internal emails about job openings in your company. He forwarded me an email and forgot about it. So one day I told him, "Hey, I'm applying in your company," and he's like, "What are you saying?" I was like, "You remember you sent me an email that had a job and they've called me for an interview." And he joined the company, and within a 1.5 month, I joined the same company.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was through one of the emails that you get. So you have to be patient,
Yep.
but it went really nice. Nobody asked me about Australian experience. And I was like, when they ask you that, do you have any questions? I'm like, I don't know, but is there some nuances you want me to learn? Because this is what I was told. And they were like, no, you're fine. You
Yeah.
work in countries and you learn as you go.
Yeah.
So that's how it was.
Totally. I think like it's quite I guess, a taboo subject is like having an Australian experience. We talk about it a lot in with Study Melbourne because a lot of employers do refer to it or they look at a resume and they kind of go, everything's overseas. We can't relate to anything. Obviously, you had some experience that maybe they could relate to or they see your skills and it was all there and you're also getting, I guess, referred in by someone or you have a connection at the company, but he didn't actually get you the job. It's that you applied
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
He didn't refer me officially. He just saw an email that, hey, the domain's hiring for these positions. And he forwarded me that email and forgot all about it.
Oh,
So
so good though.
that was so good.
Yeah, yeah. I could literally, I honestly could listen to these sort of like life and career stories like all day because it's so interesting to hear different perspectives. Um, but we'll get into, I guess, the questions. And I'm also going to, for anyone that's on the webinar, I'll also launch another poll just again so that we know where you're at, how are you feeling confidence wise when you navigate like workplace culture, and it might be with a casual job, when you're hearing about different industries. Are you feeling nervous? Are you feeling confident about going for job interviews or networking? What are some of like the biggest challenges that you maybe are feeling nervous about? Is it how I might start a job, but then how do I ask for feedback or how do I ask to make sure the working conditions or the pay is correct or this is kind of the salary that I need? How do I stand out in a job? Like, what are I guess, the things that are making you feel a little bit like it might be a challenge for you? And then is there anything that you think might be difficult for you in the workplace? Thinking like, will you be able to speak up in meetings? Will you be able to provide new ideas, ask questions, build professional relationships with your colleagues, anything like that? I'd love to just know what's kind of how are you feeling about approaching job hunting if you're not already working. And if maybe if you already have a job, like Preeti and I are both working, but we still have those, I guess, challenges that we work through. And it might be we're going into a staff meeting and we'd actually like to, ask a question, but you go, is it relevant? Is it appropriate? Is everyone going to laugh? Like, is it a stupid question? Or, hey, I actually want to connect with that department over there, but just to learn a little bit more about them. But how do I do that? Is it a useful way of my time? So we're going to go through a couple of questions, just I guess to help you feel like we're here to encourage you to be, practical and walk away with some knowledge on what the workplace is like. In both of our situations, both myself and Preeti, we work with international stakeholders as well. Our it might not be a 9 to 5 job. Both of us probably work out of those hours to suit the different markets that we work with. But definitely happy to answer any questions that come through as well. So we'll go into um, standing out and building a personal brand. So you've got over 15 years of customer service support, which I really love. Well, I guess customer facing experience. And I love that you said that you really enjoy that because I think everyone thinks customer service is working in hospitality or retail or like, being the front of a business. But it can just be like that support or consultant role. And I know that you've got experience in Australia, the US, like you said, India, and both in Sydney and Melbourne now. As in your role at the moment, um, what do you think makes someone truly like stand out on LinkedIn or beyond,
Yeah.
even if they don't have a lot of experience?
Oh, that's a good question. So, lots of things. First of all, is when you create a LinkedIn profile, make sure it's you, it represents you, it's your brand. So, just like you post a lot on Instagram or Facebook or everything, make sure that first LinkedIn red flag is a profile without a picture.
Yeah,
And please make sure it's not like one of the party pictures with filters or dancing or six people in the background.
yeah,
It has to be you. And I'm not talking about being in a business suit. It could be a white t-shirt. That's good enough.
yeah,
Face is visible. You'll preferably, I would say, have a bit of a smile so that you don't look grumpy and you look approachable.
yeah,
So because I had this really good picture in which I thought I looked very good back in the day, and somebody said, "You're really friendly." I said, "Yeah." So your
yeah,
picture was grumpy before meeting you. I thought you're probably a very serious person. I'm like, oh my God. They're like, can you change? You know, somebody really senior. They're like, it's a suggestion. If you could change your picture, people really think you're grumpy. So that was hilarious. And this is after I joined LinkedIn. So they're
It's
like,
so true. Yeah. And then but even applying that in a real world situation, like I would see a colleague and I look at their LinkedIn photo and I look at them in the office and I'm like, they're happy and cheerful. And you don't have to be obviously happy all the time,
yeah,
but approachable is probably the key
approachable.
word. Yeah. Yeah. And that just having that headshot and you can set up your iPhone and take a nice timer photo and update it every few years. You have your university photo, that's nice, but then it's actually nice to get your own headshot. And some of our Study Melbourne events, we have one in May, which will be all around interviewing. We'll actually do some headshots and we'll have a photographer there. So come along and get like a professional headshot. And then it's one that you can just tick off and you're like, done. Profile's looking much better with that headshot. Definitely. Is there anything else that you think kind of helps?
Um, so one is profile picture, one is make sure all the things that you do, the number of languages you speak, it's a USP. Please do not hide if you speak multiple languages. For like in Australia, they only wanted English speakers, so it was good for me. But my team in Singapore doing the same job. They have people specifically who speak Japanese, specifically who speak Korean, because the Korean and Japanese clients of ours, they're like, we don't want to speak to a bot or
Yeah.
translated emails.
Mhm.
So you never know, for example, if you speak any language, you never know when that becomes a USP for you.
Yeah.
So if you speak a certain language, mention it on your LinkedIn. It's a really good thing, nothing to be,
Mhm.
hiding about. If you're working in any volunteering thing, if you donate blood, if you do any campaigns,
Mhm.
if you do, anything like that, even if you've done a small project, or even if you've looked after a cafe or worked in your aunt's restaurant reception,
Mhm.
write it.
Yep.
Because every time you work for 4 months, 2 months, 6 months, it still teaches you skills. It shows that you are productive. And for example, if you're doing an engineering course and you ended up in a burger store because you had to pay your bills, be very proud of it.
Mhm.
Tell them, hey, you don't have to hide it and show a gap. Say, hey, I flipped burgers because I needed to support my education. It's a good skill to have. We know you're focused.
Mhm.
We know that you're responsible for what you want to do.
Um,
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
So,
That's a great answer. Thank you for Yeah, like you said, be proud of what you've had to do to get yourself to where you are now. Or even if that's something in the future and you go, I still can't find a job, but you find something that's not, in your industry, but it's something that supports you. And you can gain skills in that job too. You might not think you can, but there's so many skills that you can transfer across jobs.
Absolutely. And one thing which we don't realize in general,
Mm.
anybody who's moved cities or countries, you have adaptability to new environments. You have automatic problem solving skills in unfamiliar situations. You don't even realize what you're doing, but you do. You have so much resilience. You have cultural intelligence, which is so required.
Mm.
Example, I love watches. If you give me a watch, I'll be very happy. But if I gift a watch to my Singapore colleague who's Chinese, it means I'm counting their days to the death. It's absolutely not acceptable. You cannot gift a watch or an umbrella to
Mm.
somebody Chinese. So if you're working with a team that is Chinese, Japanese, Korean, you need to know basic nuances.
Yeah.
So we learn quite a bit, and we have Ask Me Anything sessions and fun sessions, do's and don'ts. And I tell them a lot of them don't know much about the Indian culture, or they
Mm.
only know what they've seen Bollywood movies. So
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? If you see any weird question or something you think is inappropriate, ask me.
Yeah.
Because, asking question never hurts anybody. So we
Ab-
have these fun sessions once in a while. I'm like, ask me about something. They're like, oh, okay. Like in if you go to a Western wedding, the bride wears white. In
Mhm.
India, only a widow wears white. So
Ah,
just small things like that.
yeah.
So so there are lots of like small nuances you'll come across, especially
Yeah.
when you start working with maybe US, Australia,
Yeah.
Canada. We assume somebody knows Anzac holiday, and my US team is like, "What is Anzac holiday?
That's
Why?"
true. Yeah.
So, and we
Yeah.
might know some, like Thanksgiving is in US and Canada, and their Thanksgiving are on different dates. But I'm not saying we have to celebrate the festival, but it's good to know what they're doing,
Yeah.
just to have the feeling of a team.
Yeah.
So everybody, some things are acceptable in one culture, but not the other.
Mhm.
So you have to be mindful when you're working with different teams. And for example, even if I'm applying to a job in study Melbourne, right? What will be my first step? I will go and stalk you on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I will see where you have studied, what you've done.
Yeah.
If possible, I will reach out to you. Hey, I've applied for this job. I'm really interested. You don't have to refer me or hire me, but it does not hurt for me to reach out and show that I'm interested. I'll still have to go through the procedure, and the whole, procedure needs to be followed. But, always reach out, do your research. So
Mm.
when I work if I reach out to you as an employer, as a person looking for a job, I should know where you've studied. I should know where you've worked. I have done my homework. I know if you're from Australia, if you're from some other country, if you're a migrant, I should know professionally as much as possible about you.
Yeah.
So, like, I know stalking is the wrong word, but you need to do your research
Yeah.
when you're even trying to talk to somebody senior. Like, if I have a meeting with the director of sales tomorrow morning,
Mm.
I cannot walk in blank
Yeah.
that I don't know anything about him.
Mm.
You can't. That makes you look really unprepared.
Yeah.
So no matter if it's a job interview, we all are applying for the same job. But if you can see who the interviewer is, if you follow the company page of where the company job is listed, see, maybe you have a friend's friend working there. Maybe ask for a recommendation. Maybe ask the person question, hey, I would like to know. Maybe after talking to them, you realize it's not even the right company for you. Like I applied for a job in a company which I should not name. I went through training and I realized it was really, really, really toxic.
Right.
So before I even finished the training, I don't even put that company on my LinkedIn.
Mm.
I think I did 1 month of training and I'm like, I'm out.
Right.
It's not
Yeah.
a company for me.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Happen. It
Yeah.
might not be the right company. You might want to, like LinkedIn is really fast paced. Uh, I might have a friend who works for a huge superannuation. She has complicated work, but it's really slow.
Yeah.
I might not enjoy her work, and she might not enjoy my crazy work environment. Like it changes every day. Like sometimes products are launched, and we need to learn things overnight.
Yeah.
So depends what you want to do,
Yeah,
depends where you want to go.
yeah,
There could be two jobs which are both customer service, but you might not like both.
yeah. I think I took a lot from that answer. Like there's that being curious about like learning about the people that you might be interacting with, the company that you're going for, like learn as much as you can, but also like use whether it's Chat GPT or whatever it is, the AI, use Google to like find out more about the company or the country that you're working in. So, like, hey, what are the top 10 things I need to know about working in Australia? And like you said, it might be Anzac Day holiday. Why is that important? And you kind of go, okay, yes, we get a day off work. That's great to know. But what is it that, I should know about that day? Is there anything else, like any other nuances that, like you mentioned, is there, if I gift someone something, if I say something in particular, will it not be offensive, but maybe taken the wrong way? I love it. Like everything that you've just said, you've covered so much. And hopefully, and I think that actually answers really well the next question that I had, which is how can you use like your overseas experience, and it could be volunteering or, like you said, working in a family business, as a strength and not a disadvantage. So I think you've kind of already answered that in a way that, hey, you've got this resilience and you've got this problem solving skills, your global experience. Is there anything else you kind of think you could do to like make that a strength and not a disadvantage?
One thing before we even discuss this is most of the people listening here are students.
Yep.
When you created your LinkedIn profiles, you might have all used your college IDs, email addresses, and maybe 6 months, 1 year down the line, that will no longer be in use. So make sure whatever email address you choose to use in the future, Gmail, Hotmail, anything you like, please add it to your LinkedIn profile as a primary email address and let your university email address be the secondary one.
Yep.
So when your email address, stops working, the university one, you don't get logged out of your own accounts. And also, like just like every social media, please have two-factor authentication on your LinkedIn profiles because we've seen accounts being compromised because maybe you don't even check your account for 6 months. You don't even realize it's, gone ahead and it has been compromised like any other social media account.
Mm.
So make sure you have two-factor on your account so that even if you've not logged in, or if even if a bad actor tries to portray themselves as you, you have a notification that comes up. It will really save you a lot of hassle because tomorrow, if I post as Ellen and I post whatever I want, people will, probably be not sure if it's you
Yeah.
or not, but it does tarnish your reputation.
Yeah,
So make sure you
absolutely.
keep your profile as active, as secure as possible because that is you. For me, if I have to reach out to anybody, I will check them out. Oh, this is the person, this is what they've posted, this is what they engage in, these are the pages they follow, these are the people they like.
Mhm.
Sure, it's all secure and it represents you in the best way possible. It has to be flattering to you. And whenever you're going for any job interview, make sure you clean up all your social media.
Mhm.
I always say this, forget about just LinkedIn.
Yeah,
If Ellen is about to hire me for Victoria for intern match, she will Google me in general. We all do that.
yeah,
So any picture that could go against you or any video, any reels which could go against you professionally, it's up to you. I'm not telling you, you have to follow what I'm saying. Make sure none of your content, goes against you when I'm trying to hire you. We
yeah.
had somebody we really wanted to hire. I heard this from a senior person. They were almost about to go ahead and give them the offer letter. Everything was good, but something to do with some controversial posts and views that they had shared online,
Mm.
the offer letter was not rolled out to them.
Interesting. Yeah.
It is their personal life, but I think it had something to do with religion or politics. I'm not sure exactly what it was.
Yeah.
And obviously, they would not tell me the details, which is
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
But something which you posting online, nothing is private.
Yeah.
If you are unsure, and you still want to post, suggestion is keep your accounts private so that
Yeah.
on a regular Google search it doesn't come up. It's yeah, make sure everything on your social media works in your favor.
Yeah.
How good you are, how nice you are, what skills you have, people talking good about you. And again, as you said, when we are working together, like for an aunt's cafe or for a friend, or maybe you have a very good teacher online,
Mm.
ask people to write a small recommendation for you on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Even if you have worked only in a cafe, it's not only in a cafe. Say, hey, my boss, can you please write a recommendation? A short one would be great.
Yeah.
At least it shows. And on LinkedIn, you have sections to show skills that you have.
Yeah.
You can choose, like, time management, you can choose project management, or managing a store. It tells somebody who's hiring you, even though you worked for 6 months, 1 year, you've developed those skills.
Yeah.
Keep updating it as and when you grow up. I think if I'm not wrong, you can add up to 50 skills at one time.
Mm.
So just go about, play around, see what works best in the job that you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. And then also, like I see so many resumes. Firstly, like you said, I always do a bit of a search if I'm hiring a staff member, even if it's like an intern, an assistant, anything like that. I'll still have a quick Google. If I have time, I'll like look into, a little bit more to see if their values kind of align with what we want. If they've in the past, they may have said something about an education provider, or if they've done something and it's a bit like, oh, that's a bit insensitive.
Mm.
Um, we might still have the conversation with them, have an interview, but in the back of our minds have that, they ideally they would be more private or maybe not as vocal about that opinion, but um, it's good to have a clear social media presence. Um, and if you are putting your back to resumes, if you're putting your LinkedIn on your resume, just always put the effort into your LinkedIn because you're pretty much saying to them, hey, I'm putting my LinkedIn on my resume for you to click on it. And then if they click on it and you don't have a photo, there's nothing else other than your name and maybe your university. So just spend like half an hour after today's webinar, putting a bit of effort into, or not even effort, just information into your profile. And like a photo would be great, but if you come to that in the next couple of weeks, that would be amazing. Always reach out. We've literally got one-on-one sessions that we can do. Um, and we could, like myself or my colleagues, can sit with you and go through your profile and give you some suggestions to improve it. But there's nothing worse than seeing a LinkedIn link at the top of someone's resume and I click on it and I'm not getting anything else. There's no value, there's no like additional information. And just like Preeti said, if there's something you do, if there's like a hobby that you have or something that you can connect with someone, it might be boxing, it might be reading, whatever it is, talk about anything. Yeah.
Yeah, and just like any social media, how it works, how often you post, how many people engage, those things are important.
Mm.
Similarly with LinkedIn, I would suggest if you finished a course on LinkedIn Learning, post it.
Yeah.
Don't secretly do it and just forget about it. Post it. Hey, I did finished a 10-minute course, 2-hour course, or you got a certificate, post it. If you are generally browsing any social media, just like LinkedIn, if you like something that's maybe your colleague or your teacher or your anybody shared, you have two options: repost it just like that, but better is maybe repost it with your opinion. It could be just one line. It could be as simple as, I agree with you, it's so good that you posted. Or if you learned something, say, hey, I learned so much from this. If you're reposting, it's pretty much, LinkedIn is a social media platform. So this is how the algorithm works. It's not that it likes me more than it likes you. It would be like, how often do you engage? If, for example, if you're looking for a job in Google, right? So you kind of Google where the address is, you find where they are, engage with their things, see if you want to go into, say, engineering, right? So, say, who are the engineers who are working there? Go to the people section, see if you find somebody in Australia, maybe reach out to them and be very candid. Nobody really is there to hate on you.
Mm.
I'm, I'm Preeti. I'm doing, may say, electrical engineering. I'm interested in this. I would love to, probably get some time from you or learn a bit more about, uh, the tips that you could share, or if you could share some resources. That is option one. Or you could say, hey, I really came across your profile. I really like it.
Mm.
I like your career progression because some people have moved from one industry to the other to the third one, which may or may not have something in common. So just reach out to them. Please do not send blank requests. It's a very high chance they would not even care looking at it.
Yeah.
A one line hello is fine. Like, hello, I'm studying this, I'm from this university. I was just keen on connecting.
Yeah.
Most of the people do not say a no because it doesn't, cost them a dime to add somebody.
Yeah.
But it at least shows that you took the effort to
Mm.
write or say maybe Ellen, hey Ellen, I really liked your recent post about, say, intern match. I would love to be associated with this.
Mm-hmm.
At least I'm showing my intent.
Yep.
I'm showing what I'm looking for and why I'm reaching out to you instead of just a random hi ad. And I'm like, hey, maybe I'm interested in a job. Could you please let me know if you have any openings coming up in the future? And then if I ghost you, you may not remember me. But if I like your posts, I follow you. If you win an award, I congratulate you. So it's in your subconscious mind. Oh, this is this girl. She likes my posts, and yeah, she told me she's probably interested in a job in my organization. So it's not that somebody's there to, you know, prefer one candidate over the other, but if you're visible, they remember you.
Yep.
If you're not, and for me, I have never met my Singapore team. I have never met my US team. I have never met my India team. So I have never met last three of bosses of mine. I've never met them. They're all in Singapore and India. I'm the only one in Melbourne from my team. There are two people in Sydney. So you have to work with nuances. My boss and me, we talk to each other about everything, having never met each other.
Mm.
So it is for you to go ahead and do the
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
uh, whole effort of putting in.
Yeah.
It's is the person who hired me for LinkedIn. He's American, and he saw that I work in US.
Mm.
So, my interview was for 1 hour. I think 30 minutes out of that we were discussing ribs and tacos. My husband was very worried that what's happening. Like you had an interview, and so I asked this guy, I'm like, hey, thanks. And he's like, it's so good. When can you join? I'm like, are you sure? Like he
Oh.
asked me joining. I was like, great. So I'm like, I asked him later, after joining, I met him. I'm like, you asked me about ribs and tacos for the whole interview. He's like, see, it's a customer service role. Looking at your resume, I knew you could do the job, but I wanted to know if you're a cultural fit or not.
Yeah. Amazing.
Because in LinkedIn, like there's no dress code. You can wear shorts to office, you can do whatever, play table tennis, nobody cares.
Yeah.
If you're going for a professional meeting, yes, women would, or men would wear a blazer or jacket or whatever. But when you're in the office, you could be just in a tank top and nobody cares.
Yeah.
But you cannot be somebody who's judgmental, looking at people, a certain way.
Mm.
You may or may not, eat a certain thing, drink a certain thing, or have religious beliefs, but you cannot. They didn't want somebody judgmental. They
Mm.
didn't want somebody who's going to be a sore thumb,
Mhm.
like, or people cannot talk to you.
Yeah.
So a lot of times they have 10 people who have similar resumes. They might want to see uh, that, you're a cultural fit or not. You do not have to be an extrovert to do that. So you don't have to talk loudly.
Mm.
Like it's
Mhm.
fine. You can be an introvert. Like I know people who are introverts, but at work they make it an effort to be at least socially uh, at a level playing field. You don't have to be an extrovert. You don't have to hug everybody you meet. You don't have to have the biggest, excitement levels when you see people. It's fine. We all have different parameters. So do what suits you, but you do have to make the extra effort
Yeah.
because with companies going global, you may or may not have your bosses in your team in the same city.
That's true. Yeah. There's a few points from that, like well, I guess we call this join in and stand out because the joining in part is probably more the networking and the pre-job stuff that you do, like you said, connecting with intent on LinkedIn or in person. Like not just saying going to a panelist at an event and saying hi, but saying, hey, thank you so much. I found this point really interesting. Or, hey, I'm currently doing this and I thought I would just say hello and connect with you. It goes the same online as well. But then in terms of the actual standing out, like you said, if you start a course, a LinkedIn course, anything, like post about it so that you are memorable to the organization. Like it might be you're working in construction and you've just finished a project, like post about how proud you are of that project so that the people around you see how proud you are and you become memorable. And it might be, hey, I've just completed an internship, or here are a few things that I've loved about my internship experience with Coca-Cola or wherever you're doing your internship, or you're working, even if it's part-time, like if it's not relevant to the industry that you're working in, that's totally fine. Still post about it. It shows that you're like a lifelong learner, like you encourage others around you as well. So if your peers post or your colleagues, anything like that, it's really important to help you stand out in your new environment. So talking about confidence in a new environment, many from what I hear at in-person events, but also online and even like on the polls that we've got today, a lot of students say that they're not, feeling confident enough yet, or maybe they're not, confident to reach out to people yet. Um, have you kind of felt like your confidence has grown over time, and what maybe habits or changes have you kind of brought into your career, or how you connect with people to help you feel more confident?
I completely understand where you're coming from, and this has happened so many times. And whether you're an extrovert or introvert, you have good days and bad days. One day I might feel very confident talking to everybody. Second, maybe one day I'm not feeling that great, and I don't even want to switch on my camera. Happens, happens to all of us. But I think confidence for some people comes naturally, but for majority of the people, it's something that can be built over time. It's like a skill set. Like not every actor or actress you see on television is born confident. You have to, those are the tools of the trade. You have to learn things. So I have colleagues who, in my Singapore office, they're not even comfortable switching on the cameras. And over a period of time, we have to build that trust. And like, it's okay. They're like, oh, I haven't, probably done my makeup. I don't feel good. I'm like, it's a team.
Yeah,
And, it does help. So make sure if you are trying to do a Zoom call with somebody, as a courtesy,
mm,
until unless you're feeling sick or something, which is absolutely fine, try and switch on your camera. It's
yeah,
not a rule.
yeah,
It's it's showing courtesy to if it's just me and Ellen talking and she has a camera on and I don't have my camera on just because of no particular reason. If I'm feeling sick and I tell her, hey Ellen, I'm not feeling great
yeah,
today, that's fine. But it's okay.
yeah,
Just wear a white t-shirt, black
yeah,
t-shirt, doesn't have
yeah,
to be fancy. Nobody in today's world, unless you're going for a particular industry, is
mm,
expecting you to be in suits.
yeah,
T-shirt is great. A clean t-shirt is great. Just tie your hair or comb your hair properly. Maybe,
mm,
whatever makes you feel good. If a
yeah,
fragrance makes you feel good, or good perfume, cologne,
yeah,
your hair, just do it for yourself.
yeah,
Whatever makes you feel comfortable. You don't have to show your background. You always have, good backgrounds that are available. So even if you have a room in which, your clothes are everywhere, it's
yeah,
messy, nobody has to know. It's
yeah,
fine. We all have those days and it's fine.
yeah,
So it's these small things that you need to do uh, when you're showing up and you feel awkward.
yeah,
Uh, you have to make that effort. For example, nobody's going to find out that, for example, I'm using the name David. I'm not sure if any David is on the call. I'm just saying it as an example. Oh, there is one David who lives in, say, CBD, and he's looking for a job in telecommunication. Like, I'm not going to go hunt for some David in a place thinking he wants to work for my company. If you want to look, work for a company or you want to go ahead and apply for a company, you have to take the effort and sending a message to not a blank message again, a proper message to somebody in the organizations you want to work for. Uh, in that case, you have to make the effort, and what will happen? Nobody's gonna come and remember after 6 years that oh, this guy sent a request and I said no. People don't have the time. We take ourselves so seriously there are two options. You send a request to somebody, either they accept or they decline.
Mm.
And life goes on. You won't remember after a week, they won't remember after a week.
Yep.
There are only two options. So if the answer is already no, isn't it good if you have an option that maybe yeah, somebody does reach out to you? And maybe if you reach out to me for LinkedIn as an engineer,
Yep.
right? Uh, and not everybody would know, like for LinkedIn, as an example, the engineering teams are not based in Australia, they're based in US and India.
Mhm.
So I'm like, hey, Australia, LinkedIn is mostly sales. If you're interested in sales, maybe, I could let you know if there's an opportunity. But if you're looking for engineering, I'm not the right person.
Mhm.
At least maybe I can guide you to somebody who could assist you.
Yep.
I'm not saying I'm from LinkedIn so I can hire everybody. It's not my job.
Yep.
So different departments for different companies. Like I don't know, the Google in US versus Google in Australia are different. I don't know what all departments are there in Google Australia. I know what are the Google departments in Google USA. So it depends on what job you're doing. Just because a company is presented here does not mean we've had people walk into our offices really angry that they cannot log into their LinkedIn profile. Very angry. And the security had to ask them to leave. It was that bad. But the thing is, you have to log a case if something goes wrong.
Yep.
It's a sales office. We cannot help you log into your LinkedIn.
Mm. Yeah.
So just because any company is present in a particular state, it's good to reach out to people so that at least even if they cannot help you directly, they can point you in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And like you said, small things at a time. Like if you're feeling like you lack confidence with a job interview, that might be like you might actually be really great at an interview, but there's maybe one thing that you find challenging. You have to then go, what is it that I find really difficult to answer? Can I find a resource online that will help me prepare for an interview? Or I want to network, I need to build my network and meet people in the industry. There'll be so many events out there. Some of them might be paid. They might be a small ticket fee. Some might be free. They might just be a little bit of a drive or a train ride away, but they're worth it. And they're small things. And over time, you will like build confidence. And like you said, like you start to understand who the right people are to go to. If you're preparing for an interview, if you're writing a resume, like we Study Melbourne can help with that. But if you need to expand your network or you need to understand who to go to for things, over time, those habits will help you like become more confident. Um, and from the survey from this webinar, um, a few of the, so most of you have said you're either somewhat confident or pretty much saying you're not, you're completely new to like navigating the Australian workplace. And then a few of the topics that you find or you believe you'd find the most difficult would be the casual conversations. So that might just be, around the lunch table or you go for coffee with a colleague. Speaking up in meetings is always nerve-wracking, which is totally fair. Asking questions when I don't understand something and then building relationships. So there's a little bit of like a mix of results from that survey, which is interesting and it helps us understand, the next topic for maybe another webinar or another event. Maybe we need to talk more about how to ask questions in a meeting or if you have a concern, anything like that. So please, if you have any questions for today's webinar, please send them through. I'm just going to go on to the next topic, Preeti, so that we can kind of wrap up in the next 5 minutes. But given that you've worked with, many different employers across different sectors and different countries in real estate, and now LinkedIn, what do you think are some, and this can be on LinkedIn, but it also could be in person. What are some steps you think these students on today's webinar could take to help grow their visibility? Oh, you're just on mute. Sorry. Mhm.
Sorry. As we already discussed,
Yeah.
first step begins with creating and being very confident and comfortable with your own profile. Clear picture, what you want to do, what skills you already have, what skills you're working towards, what courses you've done, what courses you're about to do. For example, once the homework is clear, and even if you reach out to somebody, uh, if you go to a networking event, or you don't have to physically give your LinkedIn ID to somebody. Nowadays, everybody has smartphones. I don't know how many of you know. There's a QR code on your LinkedIn. If you just have it on your phone, anybody can add you on a networking event just by scanning. So small things you want to know is, for example, if I'm interested in finance, don't waste your time networking for people in engineering. Like, I'm not saying do not meet people, but be more mindful about meeting people from, say, Australian super, or the related industries. So you have to be very mindful about what you're looking into.
Yeah.
So that is very important. And uh, please engage with the newsletters and company pages on LinkedIn with those companies, because the company page admins, I know, they can see who are the candidates who are engaging with their product
Yep.
in general. So, for example, it's just an example. I'm not saying people have to promote this webinar that we're having.
Mhm.
So, if you like something about the webinar today, right? Once I think I have made a post, and I think Ellen might post later.
Mhm.
So you don't have to write a full-fledged essay about it. You can say, hey, I attended this. I learned this. It's a nice thing. Maybe your friend says, oh, I did not like it. Maybe it starts a conversation chain. You don't have to like everything I'm saying right now. It's fine. What I'm saying is engaging with the platform. So like Study Melbourne, and when you're tagging, say, LinkedIn, Intern Match, Study Melbourne, or you're doing a project for raising funds for a company, make sure you tag the company. Say if you're raising funds for, say, a blood donation company, or the cops in your city, tag them. Make sure people know that you are working for them or interested in that. There are small steps uh, you know, practice is going to make you perfect.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
going to happen overnight. It's an unpopular opinion. What I'm going to say is, uh, because now if you see, I've not changed jobs in 4.5 years, right? So interviewing is a huge skill. You might be topping your class, you might be the brightest person in the room, but because you've not interviewed for a long time, like any other skill that gets rusted. So
Yeah.
for me, when I start to look for a job, I might actually interview for jobs I'm not too interested in, just to brush up my skills,
Yeah.
because we all get stuck at same questions, which are like, tell me about something about yourself.
Yeah.
We have these answers we've learned, but somehow the words don't come out of our mouth when we want to say that. So treat interviewing like a skill. Like, do if you've not interviewed in quite some time,
Mm.
do interview for jobs which you are not too crazy about, but use it like a practice exercise. Because tomorrow, if I want to work for, say, Amazon, and I've not interviewed for 6 years, and I'm very smart, and they love my degree, but I might be really bad at communicating.
Mm. Yeah.
I
That.
should be able to sell myself, because there are 200 people trying to get the same job. So treat interviewing and networking as a skill. So today you're like, maybe you like 5 posts today, right? Tomorrow you like 20. Then one day you don't like any posts. Repost things. So you have to engage with any platform that you want to be associated with. It, it's like one of my colleagues, was from LinkedIn. Now she works for Netflix. She was really eyeing a role. She was a temporary contractor like me. I moved into a role in LinkedIn. She went to Netflix. She really wanted to get into Netflix, applied for a role, went through all the roles, did not get it. She kept in touch with the hiring manager, like, hey, and she also really liked my friend, but said, hey, but we got somebody better for this role. She's like, okay, what are the tips, what you can give if I want to crack an interview with Netflix? She kept on in touch with that lady, and she's like, suddenly she pings her, hey, I see you've opened a different role, which is similar to the role she wanted, but a bit different. Can I apply for it? And because she had already cleared 5 rounds of interviews, she was top in the line. She works for Netflix. It's been 2 3 years now. and she's doing great just because she kept in touch. She asked for feedback because she really wanted to we all have a few companies we really would like to work for. It could be different for different people.
Mm,
Try and reach out to the hiring managers. Like now, for example, I'm not in tech, but and LinkedIn in Australia is a sales office.
mm,
But one of our best recruiters, she went to Microsoft. So now, hypothetically, if my husband wants, who's a tech guy, wants a job, I'm not going to crack his interview for him, but I can introduce him to the recruiter because she left LinkedIn to go to Microsoft.
yeah,
So now I officially know somebody who is a recruiter at Microsoft. I cannot crack his interview, I cannot promise him a job, but I can at least, you know, get him in touch with somebody.
yeah.
So every bit counts.
Yeah, the right person as well, the person that can talk more about the culture at Microsoft and like
Yes.
what he would need to know before an interview. Again, like she might not be able to say, yeah, great, we'll hire you. She'll say you need to still interview. One of the pain points, I guess, in this survey was having that small talk or casual conversation. So I know you mentioned, Preeti, when we spoke 2 weeks ago that when you go into the office, because you work with like the team overseas, you come into the Melbourne office and it's more just like a social presence, like you're catching up with everyone.
Yes.
When you first started at LinkedIn, even though it was in the pandemic, when you started coming into the office, did you naturally like start having those conversations, or did you kind of wait till you met a few people? Like, what was it that helped you, just have that small talk?
Um, so even now, uh, because I'm one of the very few people like in the LinkedIn office in Melbourne. Like Sydney office is still bigger,
Mm,
Melbourne office is smaller. But I'm among the very few 1% of the people who are not from sales. So there is not a lot of things to talk about. So the account directors come to me when something's broken for their clients, or they want to discuss small things like maybe the CEO announced something big in the company,
mm,
some internal changes that are happening. It could be footy. It could doesn't have to be serious all the time. It could be just you asking, "Hey, Ellen, I knew you were unwell last week. How's everything at your end?"
mm.
Could be just that much.
Yeah.
And over a period of time, if you build rapport and they're like, hey, like for example, if I want to become a CRM, which is customer relationship manager, so my intent should be to reach out to, okay, who are the CRMs in my office? Okay, who are the CRMs in Sydney office? Okay, great. Who do they report to? Who's the person who hires?
Mhm.
Hey, send a message to the lady. She might be very busy and hey, I'm interested in this role and I want to prepare for the role. So she's not going to promise me a job, but she's like, can I have maybe half an hour of your time in the next month? Don't give them deadlines if they're really senior that you have to meet me next week. Say, hey, in the next month, would you have some time to catch up? Yeah, open up the calendar for them. Like share, like you have to take that effort. Like some people are very confident, some are not. It's a part of your job.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
you have to do it, even if you're, in a not very social kind of job. If you're like, say, you're an engineer or a surgeon who comes, does their job and goes. But in every job, a certain amount of, skills with people is required. You always do work with the team. You don't have to be a public speaker. You don't have to become, people in sales, my office people are really good at speaking because they're selling the very expensive products to big corporations. I don't need that level of skill, which is fine.
Yeah.
I'm mostly the middleman between engineers
Mm.
and when things break, so the clients. So I'm generally the person in between these two jobs.
Yeah.
So I need to be approachable. I need to do my job. I need to know,
Mm.
really well. So your over a period of time, your work speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Would reach out to you directly. So again, if your office people post something, share it, like it, talk to them, and make it genuine. You don't have to be friends with all the 30 people in your office.
Yeah.
You could be good friends with like three of them. It's fine. It's good
Yeah.
enough.
Absolutely. And there's so many things that you can talk about. Like you obviously need to read the room. Like if someone's sitting around having their lunch, they may not want to have a big conversation, but you might say to them, hey, yeah, like you said, I noticed that you were sick, or how was your weekend, or are you busy, like pretty busy at the moment? Like, how's your afternoon looking? Like, you can just think of things that you would say to your friends, but maybe make it into a work context.
Ah,
Um, like you might notice they're reading a book and you start talking about that. Anything that you can kind of start, and it will, as you ask those questions of people, even at a networking event, ask questions, like just be curious and be compassionate. Like if they have brought something up or if they've posted something recently, definitely like it'll help you fit into the workplace because that person goes, oh, I'm really stressed at the moment, but today one of my colleagues asked like how I'm going, or they asked if they can help out at all with that project. Like that'll be the takeaway from their day. And then that makes you feel more comfortable. They then know that you're an approachable person. So it's not easy to have casual conversations at work. Obviously, most people are really busy too.
yes, what you said exactly is being curious. So because I don't have a team here, so I'm floating between all the teams and all the people because my team is in Singapore, Sydney, and other places. So I'm always an outsider because people have teams here and I'm the floating one. And so when we have lunch served in LinkedIn, you can eat at the table or you can take it to your desk. People like to sit together and eat in general in the dining area. So, like, maybe you don't know the guy who's sitting next to you. Say, hey, which department are you from? Oh, I didn't know you have an editorial department here because I did not know earlier. So I met somebody who's Spanish, he's from Spain, and he's like, I'm the head of editorial Australia. I had no idea who this person is. Okay, what do you do? Like, what comes under your role? You may or may not ever interact or need their help,
That's
but
true.
it's so good to know all the aspects of your department. There are people like me who don't have a team in Australia. That there are one odd people who report to maybe New York office or Sydney office. You have that. Be curious in what they are doing, what kind. You never know
Yeah.
how it entangles with your work. What do you get to learn from them? And maybe you sit next to another person, and maybe, for example, a student reaches out to me that they want a job in editorial, for example. I'm like, hey, I have no idea what you're saying, but I know this guy who might have, some information.
Yeah.
Again, never promise jobs, never do things say things you can't do. But
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, but this guy is part of the editorial team in Melbourne.
Mm.
Maybe
Yeah.
they have the resources.
Yeah, absolutely. Like going off that, if I was to ask you, what do employers like actually care about? So obviously they'll read a resume and they'll go, yep, you've got the experience. Do you think they care a lot about the like cultural fit, the willingness to learn, like from experience? What do you think that, students probably overthink a lot of these things or they get it wrong and they just go, oh, I need experience because this job will, if I have 4 years of experience, I match the job advertisement. But what's like a few other things that maybe students can think of before they start or apply for a job?
One very interesting and horrifying thing which we always discuss at LinkedIn because the polls come out.
Mhm.
For example, if a job has 10 requirements, boys or men apply if they even fit four categories, and they're like, we will either not get it or we will wing it. Women wait, sadly, for 9 to 10 boxes to be checked for applying. For example, I know somebody who's hiring a lot of engineers in Vietnam right now,
Mhm.
and they're like, a lot of women want to talk about being in tech. Not a single woman has even applied for the job. So I cannot hire you if you've not applied.
Mm.
So please apply.
Yeah,
Like,
just try.
just try. A lot of this is not something that is coming from me. This is the data we've been discussing in LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And always like, you do not, nobody mostly matches 10 out of 10
Mm.
boxes. They're not going to be checked. Are you willing to learn? Are you curious? Are you willing to make that effort? Yeah, your office hours end at 5 o'clock, right? But after logging out, do you have the willingness and the patience to just switch off and log out from things and just study and learn more about your product?
Mm.
That will make the difference. So, are
Yeah.
you willing to learn or not?
Yeah. That's a
This is massive
very,
thing.
yeah, very important piece of information. Like, I love to, especially if you're going for an internship or it's your first job here in Australia, or if it's junior role or it's something a bit different. Like you said, maybe you're a female or it doesn't really matter, but you don't tick all the boxes. Show
Yes.
that you're excited to learn and like, hey, like yes, I know how to use Adobe or I know how to, do Python, but
Yes.
I'm still learning this, or I'm still excited to learn from people around me about or
Mhm.
Adobe. And that will show the the employer that you're not an expert, even though
Yeah.
if they want an expert, but you're
Yeah,
someone that wants to become an expert and wants to develop with the business.
absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, so good. Thank you so much. Well, we'll wrap up now because it's already 1 o'clock. That went nice and quickly. Thank you so much, Preeti, for being involved today. As I mentioned at the start of the webinar, I will send the recording and some highlights from the webinar today via email and a few resources that we have here at Study Melbourne that can help you if you're looking for jobs, if you're feeling a little bit uncertain about like which industry to go into. Sometimes you can feel like, you just need a job, so you end up in a role that maybe isn't like perfect for you. And you go, oh my God, it's been 2 years and I've completely forgot about my degree or the things that I am actually capable of. If you just need any sort of career support, that's what we are here for. So thank you again, Preeti, for your time today. And I hope you're feeling better soon. And yeah, really looking forward to having you involved for future events and webinars. And hopefully everyone got something out of today's webinar and can apply it in the workplace. So have a great day. Thank you, Preeti.
Yeah,
And
bye.
thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday afternoon. I'll speak to you all via email, but please reach out if you need anything at all. Yeah, see you on the next webinar.
See you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye.